Well, guys, we only got one match left here, and it was probably the best match of the night. The AEW World Title match. Swerve Strickland defeats Will Ospreay in 27 minutes and 6 seconds.
One of the very best matches of the year. Just going back real quick, I think a part of the reason that one of the things that hurt crowd reaction to Naito and Moxley was I think people also wanted to get to the main event too. This was the best built thing in AEW. It is two people that have been racing each other at the top of the company. One person got to the title first. One person just was getting their feet wet in the company in spectacular matches. One person spent the last half of last year facing one of the cornerstones of the company and beating them and making himself into a main eventer. And the proof is shown in like this is the essence of AEW when people say when they came up with the line like we're the best wrestle and the best wrestle each other in high leverage, high stakes moments, and they put on great matches. And someone gets pinned and someone loses, and they'll see each other again. But like but the idea is to make 2 stars instead of just one when you can. And I thought this accomplished that. This cemented Swerve's title reign. And this also, for me, cements like Will Ospreay is going to have an incredible chase to get this title. And it's going to feel so rewarding when he finally gets to it. And, me and Rich were talking about this early in the year, like the way this is going. And while, people like Dave Meltzer was like, hey, he's the best wrestler in the world, put the belt on him 6 months in. It's like, nah, man, there's more to this than just going straight to that. Like, this is a pretty, consistent or, in general, a pretty good, run of booking at the top from Tony Khan. Trust that he's going to pull through on this one. Trust that, like, what you saw with Hangman and Swerve and Swerve in the Continental Classic is real. The momentum is real. People want to see him win. People want to see this. Like, listen to the crowd reaction. This was 50-50. This was the crowd chanting for Ospreay and chanting for Swerve. And at the end, the person that's champion gets their biggest win with the title. You can take off your asterisks of it's a transitional championship, whatever assumptions you had, you were wrong. And also, for those that also thought that for a different reason, you should also feel like a dumbass because it made no fucking sense that Will Ospreay a British guy, was going to win the top title a month before the biggest show they have of the year in London, England. It made no sense for people to think this was going to happen, but people thought it was happening. Like, I understand there's a lot of goofy shit that goes on at AEW. It's like any other wrestling promotion. Things fall through the cracks. That ain't something falling through the cracks. That is something falling in a sinkhole into the earth's mantle, into the core. Like, no. So it didn't happen. Everything makes sense. And they went for the idea of, hey, let's try to make 2 stars instead of 1, or cementing 2 stars instead of 1. And I think they accomplished that. And I thought this was one of the best matches of the year. And I love the match, and I can't wait to rewatch it. And I rarely rewatch anything these days.
5 stars, absolutely. This was, as James mentioned, like the race to the spot with these guys. I felt like Swerve was by far the most over person on the show. Like, this match, the reaction to it, the aftermath, the execution of the match was all proof of the hot, solid feud that they built with each other with very traditional means. You have something I want. I'm protecting something from you. I am basically going to exploit part of a weakness of you that you don't know you have yet. With, the thing with Ospreay's like mentality. Swerve's gonna make it personal. They did a lot of angles on this thing. Swerve cut a lot of great promos in the lead up to this thing. Ospreay cut a lot of great promos leading up to this thing to like make you believe in them. And this is just like when you think about the best AEW title matches of all time, this is right at the top, baby. Like this is, you know, a lot of people are saying this is a definitive win for Swerve for his title reign, and we know the suckers, the hoes, the lames that was talking down, that was thinking it was a game, that thought he was coming off it in 2 months, that we're gonna make the Hangman program mean nothing if we just yanked it from him just because, 5-star match man go boom, the line go up, like the thing with Will Ospreay. This guy is the most sensational wrestler in the game. There's no taking away from him. There's no denying it. There is much more room to get something out of him over 18 months than it would be over 6 months. This is just math, really. And on One Nation Radio, we tend to embrace math, not reject it. Like when you can make more money off throughout the long run of this thing and like still keep, what Swerve has going, like you use Ospreay to build Swerve up and like give like Swerve like the biggest star in the world last night. He looked like Flair Thez last night. Like it looked like the way he was operating, like came out new gear or whatever, huge entrance, like, and then like you see it was like he was leaping off the screen. Like it was like, of course this is the fucking champion. Like that's what it, like when I saw them in the ring together, I think it might have taken a lot of people time to realize it was like, oh, this is not some like walk or a lay down for Ospreay, like they're just thinking like Ospreay's just so much more over than everybody. He's not, at least in the case with Swerve. Like Swerve's over as fuck. So it's like
Swerve was so over that the person that the promotion was built around in their chase, they turned him heel in the long run. Like to think that for people to come around and be like, after seeing what's happened over the 3 matches between Adam Page and Swerve, right, and their feud since Wrestle Dream to Dynasty, or not Dynasty, but Revolution, to think that like Will Ospreay was going to come in and the crowd was going to love him inside of 6 months to the point where like they just have to change his title. Like it always was a head scratcher to think that. I don't give a damn how good Ospreay is, and I think he's the best wrestler worker in the world. No.
Yeah, and it's like when you look at it like this, just enhances what Swerve has going on. Obviously, he's done well like with the wrestling. He's got 4 defenses already. This is going to be 11,000 paid house. This is going to be $1 million gate. Those go under his drawing record right there. So like this is like such an important thing, I think, to take notice of. And a lot of people either didn't want it to happen, they rooted against it, they didn't understand the direction it was heading. They have psychoanalyzed Swerve being the champion for reasons of him being black. They have psychoanalyzed this thing from him being compared to other people with championships. It's like, no, this guy's something new. You just got to take the ride. You got to sit there with it. Even if it ends at Wembley Stadium, even if it ends like, after that, you got to look at like what has happened so far. It's like he's stamped forever right now. Like this is like how you turn somebody into somebody that will always be valuable for you. You talk about AEW, right? And what those letters activate inside of wrestling fans. This guy, Swerve Strickland, embodies that shit. Betting on yourself, like doing things your way, presenting your character the way you want to present it, and it getting over and it working. And he's bringing it. The Jim Jones thing, that was cool. Whole arena singing "We've like that." Jim Jones is like not new or anything, but it's just like, it's Jim Jones that's coming out and introducing Swerve. And I believe they did like a gym workout video that's going to drop sometime this week, possibly. So it's like Swerve is doing so many things beyond just your normal world champion, to where it's like you got to keep running with this guy. It was the right decision. It was a fucking classic match. Just so many so many incredible athletic feats that only these 2 guys are going to pull off. Like the Hurricanrana on the outside, all the reversals, like even the fucking Don Callis shit didn't bother me. It was just like, all right, whatever. And then he just cleaned them up, beat them clean anyway. So like, I'm so impressed with this. Like, and largely, like, you know, I try to stay like I don't want to know what's happening. Like, I just kind of want to watch it or whatever. Obviously, anybody's listening to this show knows I'm really good friends with Swerve and stuff like that. But I'm like, you know, I send them the motivational messages before the pay-per-views, stuff like that. And when I see these shits pay off, it's like, I trust no one else more than him right now to make this shit ride.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what AEW needs at this kind of main event. We need more of two top guys having a personal issue, wanting to prove that they are the best wrestler in the world and going out and doing it. I feel like that was the essence of what AEW was built upon, and I think over the years they've kind of slid away from that. And I think this is exactly what this show needed, what the main event needed, and that just proves you like how hot this match was. Like the crowd was locked in for this match. You know, people complain, "Oh, the show is so long." People by the end of the show, they're going to be tired. Yeah, it didn't matter.
It's the same 4-hour fucking show, people. Sorry, Jeremy.
No, you're good. No, but yeah, so they were locked into this main event. The crowd was there, and this is what you need. You need emotional buy-in, two top guys, and you know, you're probably looking at three of the biggest Will Ospreay fans out there. We've seen Will live so many times. You know, we were there, you know, New Orleans weekend, New York weekend, where he's, you know, opening one show, main eventing another show. He's doing a mid-card match, another show, like
seeing him ride by and jump in cars and shit and drive off.
Yeah, literally jump out of one Uber to go to one building and then jump in the Uber to go back to another building. Like, he's incredible, and I get it. Like, I love Will, and I know that a lot of people, you know, talk all the special guy. They wanted Will to win this match, or thought he was going to win and go into Wembley as champion. And as you point out, James, like, it didn't make sense from a booking standpoint to have him win. But I do think that they did a great job of building Will up to the point where people are like, oh, he's on a hot streak. He can win. Maybe he defends the belt in Wembley instead of winning it. You know, he's 18-0 going into the match. I thought they did a great job at least heating Will up. And there's people who still going into this match or thinking, I saw on Twitter, oh yeah, Will's winning 100%. No way Swerve's winning. And, you know, surprise, surprise, you know, Swerve gets a big win here. And I think that people underestimate how much Swerve has been built up, how much work he has done. Like, great example you mentioned, James, like the whole Hangman Page feud. Like, Hangman, one of the top baby faces of the whole promotion. That would be like if somebody turned Hogan heel in the 80s when he was on his hot babyface run. Somebody came in that was so hot and like could turn Hogan heel in the midst of that hot babyface run.
Austin and Brett.
Look, man, Swerve. Yeah, right. Like Swerve got that. Look, Swerve got that man at the house drinking again.
Yeah, and
the crowd loves him. Like, he has a connection because of this, you know, coming in, willing to work with anybody, seemingly, doing a tag thing, one of the best tag team runs with the belt, and then, you know, the run towards this. Like, this was all, you know, this is all like
just a crowning achievement.
It's a crowning achievement, and like, we don't know if this is the end of the crowning achievement. It's like, we'll see, but like, there was clearly like somebody saw something in him and decided to go a direction with it. And like, this was all put together over that time very, very fucking well, in a way that like you almost can't even predict things going that well because of how he performed, how his opponents reacted to him, how these things came together. Like, I think we're gonna look back in time and be like, hey, Heyman Swerve is like one of the most successful programs, like as far as critically in major American history, pro wrestling history, because it's like,
and then think about the time that it started. Like, it started during a time where the promotion's in chaos.
Yep.
Like, there's an argument that this feud turned the promotion around, like, and basically got us to like move on from all the foolishness that was happening.
Mm-hmm. Or at least made it to where like you can watch and not feel like you have to think about that in the back of your head. You just watch it again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, man, like, I just think that like Swerve now, like, he has two rivals now. He has two rivals. Like, it will be a time where Ospreay wins this thing, and he will get a win back from Swerve. There will be a time where he has to see Hangman again. And I think Rich was talking about this when like the Willow and Mercedes thing was happening. It's like, this is going to be about like the chase for Willow, and then she's going to see Mercedes again, and she's going to get the win over Mercedes. It's going to feel so satisfying because you went through, that. But this is on the higher level because like this is the main event, and like this Swerve has been around in your face for a lot longer than Mercedes has been in AEW. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's so much more weight to it emotionally, or as a person as watching this as a pastime. And I can't wait to see where Swerve goes with this. Obviously, I think blood and guts, obviously, against the Elite. I can't wait to see what this thing is when Hangman comes back. I can't wait to see what Ospreay goes. It could be MJF, whatever, going to Wembley. But like, I think we're pretty set for like a really solid, summer in Wembley, of course, all in, of course. So yeah, like I thought this main event, regardless of this not being a show of the decade contender, like the first two Forbidden Doors were, like by the end of this match happens, I see the Shingo match, I get that ladder match. I'm like, hey man, this wasn't one of the greatest shows of all time, but this was still a great show.
Yeah.
And like at this point, Will Ospreay is Mr. Forbidden Door. He's Mr. Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
no matter how many of these we gonna have in the future, whatever else, this is his pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's a really incredible match. We didn't really talk about a lot of the spots in the match. I mean, there's just so much great stuff in the match, and this is the opening sequence when they're exchanging moves after the bell rings. This is like, all right, like this is what we came here
bell
for.
Pop.
And, yes, bell pop, crowd behind both guys. Incredible. We mentioned the Hurricane Rana spot on the floor, swerving the pile driver on the barricade.
Yep.
Ospreay trying to go with I call it the super the Shingo finisher that he did at the Super Junior finals, where he does a super Oz cutter and then
holds it and goes back up, go for the
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker,
yeah. Swerve kicks out
for a near fall.
Yeah, I don't think of many people kicked out with Stormbreaker. Maybe Okada, but yeah, that's a super protected move, and they tied in the whole Storm Driver, Tiger Driver story as well. You had the whole Don Callis story. Like, this match hit on so many different beats, so many different levels. It accomplished so many different things. It established Swerve as the dominant world champion that will do what it takes to win his title. And then also we got this, we're going to get in the next chapter now, this whole Will Ospreay, Don Callis story. We're finally probably going to get that breakup, hopefully eventually. And that's probably going to play into what's going to happen at Wembley and potential rumors of, United Empire coming back together with Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis when he comes back from injury. There's so much stuff there that they can do with both of these guys. And I think the booking is so laser focused right now going into Wembley. We were getting like matches announced for Dynamite and Collisions and Rampage like we haven't had in a while now. And we got the Beach Break coming up this Wednesday. We got Blood and Guts coming up. We got Wembley coming up. It seems like right now that there's a plan, there's a focus, there's certain people that are trying to build up, and Swerve is at the forefront of that. And people, they're gonna have to recognize that, like, he's a top star. He is established main eventer. This world title run has solidified him. He's a guy you can always go back to. I know AEW is not as hot as it was a few years ago, but you look at Swerve's quarter hours, he's been drawing very well. He's having great matches, and he's definitely become a reliable guy. And I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of where his trajectory continues to go as stuff moves forward.
A lot of people had to shut the fuck up, honestly. Yeah. Like,
and to be honest, right, just skeptically, right, knowing the history of American Pro Wrestling, like, I can see why you ride the conclusion that Swerve was transitional champion. This bucked that trend.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, thanks. Like, this should not be the thing where it's like, oh, this guy's doing great quarter hours. Oh, this guy has one of the greatest feuds in the history of the company. Oh, this guy had a feud of the year contender last year. Oh, this guy's having a great title run, great matches, is carrying the promotion narratively more or less by himself in a way that few people ever have. Let's take the belt off in 2 months.
Yeah.
Why? I think he's going to get a belt taken off him in 2 months because the history of people that look like him and everywhere else over 100 years in this fake sport. Like, that fucking sucks. I'm glad this happened.
Yeah.
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 So
yeah,
there's that.
I can't wait to see what all the final numbers look like for the pay-per-view buys and everything, because this, like, when I think about what I want AEW to be, I want it to be Swerve versus Will Ospreay. I want it to be in this style, you know, guys going at each other like in their primes, doing business, and you know, it just seems like we're set for like a special time with like the guys that they have around, like, and you add Takeshita in the mix, you add Hangman in the mix, like there's so many like great matches that are right there. And I don't know, man, a lot of people don't like this company for whatever reason and shit like that, but it's like, look at the wrestlers, man. Like, I don't like, it's just too much, man. It's too much.
Yeah, it's incredible wealth of talent.
Yeah.
Sir Sam said, amazing night for Swerve. Felt like the hugest deal. When do you think TK put his trust in Swerve and realized he could be the guy?
Want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Swerve in our glory.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good starting point there.
Like
that team got over.
What was the match that went off? The first match.
All Out 2022.
Yep, right there.
Yeah. Like I think that's the genesis for you know, the story of Swerve Strickland obviously starts like Revolution 2022, but chapter 1 like is right there in that match. It's like, oh, like this guy is clearly the MVP of this match. Like, and you know, when I look at the team just on itself, it seemed like the team was kind of designed to spotlight Keith Lee. This could have been all Keith Lee's or whatever.
Like it seemed like, you know, they did the whole Shaq Kobe thing, and that was supposed to be ominous. It was like, oh, the person is going to stab the back is going to be Kobe, right? And then it just, you know, it didn't work out that way, which actually ended up being a benefit that it didn't turn into just that obvious.
Yeah, and then like after that, it's like, you know, Swerve floated for a little bit, but I think what happened was Swerve realized he came to Tony Khan with value. He was like, yo, I have something that I can provide you while this, you know, weird time is happening in the company, you know, while Collision's getting off the ground, while Punk and all that shit and everything else. Like, yo, like booking's getting goofy, you know, a lot of people aren't losing clean. Like, it's like, yo, I'm gonna give you great matches and I'm gonna lose clean and be like a good soldier. So like the summer of 2023, like, or the spring into the summer was also a huge part in gaining Tony Khan's trust. And it was like, all right, we've given you this, you've done well with it. We've given you this, you've made this person look good. All right, we're gonna test you in this Hangman Page feud, and then you put out one of them, you write your ticket after that.
Yeah, I mean, also I'd also point out like the stuff he was doing with AR Fox, Nick Wayne, and Darby was also like for a mid-card thing that was really well done. It ultimately didn't work out because of the stupid visa thing, but yeah.
I feel like that Wembley match too. Maybe it wasn't the starting point, but I feel like
put his ass in the casket.
Being in there with Sting and Darby, and I think you mentioned, Rich, like how Sting kind of really got some respect for Swerve.
Yeah. After
that match, I feel like that was another kind of foundational moment of, all right, like Swerve can be in there, he can take care of a guy like Sting. There's heat there with him and Darby. Like that was a great moment there. And then also we've talked about the Hangman feud. Like that was obviously I think probably the big solidifier there. Like, all right. Yep. We can get this guy in a money program that draws, and that's going to, kind of captivate the audience.
Yep, like that's one of the biggest feathers in Hangman Page's cap ever. Like he helped make a guy.
Yeah,
unquestionably. You know, you CM Punk fans. Sorry, man. Like, sorry. like I look, I like CM Punk still. The whole thing about he's an empty-headed dumb fuck. No. No.
Categorically wrong. You know,
Like when that heel turn happened at the beginning of this year, he did Bret Hart better than the Bret Hart merchants.
Yeah. Oh man. So that's Forbidden Door. Swerve, he gets the win over Will Ospreay, celebrates him and Prince Nana. He shows respect to Will after the match. That was a big deal there to kind of establish, like, all right, Swerve is still a babyface, but in the match, he had to go to work. And the bell's over. Like we can be boys again. You did a great job, Will. And so the next chapter of that's going to come with Will, and he's got Daniel Garcia this coming Wednesday on Beach Break for the international title. So we'll see where that goes from there.